For over a century, one currency ruled the world, and it wasn't the dollar. This is the story of how the British pound conquered global finance, from bustling ports to the vaults of London's banks. We trace its rise across empires, oceans, and centuries. But if the pound was so powerful, what brought its reign crashing down? Our story begins in 1694, in the heart of London. The Bank of England was founded to fund a war-torn nation. It transformed the pound into a symbol of trust and stability. In 1717, a scientist changed money forever. Isaac Newton, as master of the mint, tied the pound to gold. This gold standard made the pound as good as the metal itself. Merchants across the globe now trusted sterling above all else. By the 1700s, Britain's trade routes stretched across every ocean. Ships carried goods, and with them, the pound spread worldwide. The Industrial Revolution turned Britain into the workshop of the world. Factories churned out goods sold in every corner of the earth. Every sale strengthened the pound's grip on global commerce. London became the beating heart of world finance. The City of London housed banks that funded distant nations. Loans in sterling built railways, ports, and cities abroad. By the 1800s, half the world's trade was settled in sterling. Foreign governments held pounds in their national reserves. The pound became the anchor of a stable global system. Telegraph cables linked London to every major market on Earth. Prices in distant lands were quoted first in London. The Baring and Rothschild families financed entire empires. Colonial economies were bound tightly to the British pound. From India to Argentina, contracts were written in sterling. At its peak, Britain ruled a quarter of the world's people. The pound seemed unshakable, an empire of money itself. But beneath this power, cracks were beginning to form. New industrial rivals were rising fast across the seas. The United States grew into an economic giant. German factories challenged Britain's industrial dominance. Then, in 1914, war shattered the old world order. The First World War drained Britain's vast wealth. To fund the fighting, Britain borrowed enormous sums. Much of that money was borrowed from America. For the first time, the pound looked truly vulnerable. In 1914, Britain suspended the sacred gold standard. After the war, Britain struggled to rebuild its shattered finances. The debts to America now hung heavily over the nation. In 1925, Churchill returned Britain to the gold standard. He fixed the pound at its old pre-war value against gold. But this made British goods far too expensive to sell abroad. Exports collapsed, and unemployment spread across the country. Coal miners and workers suffered under the strain of high prices. In 1926, anger erupted into a massive general strike. The economy weakened as global confidence in sterling faded. Then came the crash of 1929, shaking the entire world. The Great Depression spread misery from Wall Street to every British city. Banks failed, trade froze, and confidence in sterling collapsed further. By 1931, gold was draining rapidly from the vaults of the Bank of England. Britain could no longer defend the pound's fixed value against gold. In September 1931, Britain abandoned the gold standard for good. The pound's value dropped sharply on world markets almost overnight. Many nations still linked to sterling formed the so-called sterling area, but its influence was shrinking as the dollar quietly gained ground. Then, in 1939, a Second World War engulfed the globe once more. This war would prove even costlier for Britain than the first. To survive the war, Britain sold off its vast overseas investments. Gold reserves flowed westward to pay for American weapons and supplies. In 1941, America launched the Lend-Lease program to aid Britain. Britain now depended completely on American money and materials. By the war's end, Britain had become the world's largest debtor nation. In 1944, delegates gathered at Bretton Woods to reshape global finance. There, the US dollar was crowned the new anchor of world currencies. The pound was demoted to a secondary role behind the mighty dollar. Britain's economist Keynes fought hard, but could not save sterling's crown. In 1945, Britain took a massive loan from America just to stay afloat. The 1945 loan came with harsh conditions attached by Washington. Sterling had to become freely convertible into dollars once more. In July 1947, convertibility finally began under American pressure. Within weeks, holders rushed to swap pounds for stronger dollars. Dollars drained away, and the crisis forced Britain to reverse course. After just 5 weeks, convertibility was suspended in defeat. The pound remained weak, propped up only by tight controls. In 1949, Britain was forced into a dramatic devaluation. The pound fell from over $4 to just 2.80 overnight. This shocked the sterling area, dragging many linked currencies down too. The 1949 devaluation bought time, but Britain's deeper decline could not be reversed. Through the 1950s, the empire that had backed sterling began to crumble away. The 1956 Suez Crisis exposed Britain's weakness before the watching world. America refused to support the pound unless Britain withdrew from Suez. Humiliated, Britain retreated, and sterling's fragility was laid bare. One by one, colonies won independence and drifted from the sterling area. By the 1960s, the pound faced constant pressure from currency speculators. In 1967, Britain was forced to devalue sterling yet again. The pound fell from $2.80 to $2.40, another blow to national pride. The government insisted the pound in your pocket had not lost its value. But the pound's fate was truly sealed long before, in a single fateful year. 1931. Since 1925, Britain had tied sterling to gold at a punishingly high pre-war rate. That decision crushed exports and choked the economy with unemployment. By 1931, a global financial panic sent investors fleeing from the pound. Gold poured out of London as confidence in sterling collapsed. Britain faced a choice: defend gold at all costs, or let the pound float free. In September 1931, the government abandoned the gold standard entirely. Yet here was the moment they could have led a new global monetary order. Instead, Britain chose short-term relief over rebuilding sterling's supremacy. That choice let the dollar rise, and the pound's century of dominance quietly ended.